just landed this gravel bar. I was flying around up in kind of my little play area that I like. Anyway, water's been really high. We've had a lot of rain, so the water's been washing over these gravel bars here. It's dropped down probably another, 3 or 4 feet again, but I'm sure the water was running over the top of this thing, just a couple weeks ago. So I've never landed this spot that I know of, but it's like the only place to land up in here right now. A little further up the river, it's snow. Some of the spots that I normally land up there, it's all snow. And downriver, there just wasn't anything without logs or something on it. Water running through it. So I decided to get out here. Figured I'd talk a little bit about what you can land on and what you can't land on. You could definitely land on this right here. These rocks are anywhere from softball, well, pebbles to volleyball, softball size. I choose really not to land on this big stuff anymore, just because it doesn't take much to pick up one of these big rocks with those 35-inch bush wheels and chuck it at your horizontal, and then you're fixing a horizontal. So anyway, I look for kind of a smooth spot where I can at least touch my tires down in, where it's not picking up big rocks. And this one had one of those smooth spots. It's got some pretty good washes in it, so got to kind of watch out for the washes that run through it. And here's one here. Probably hard to tell on the camera, but it dips down pretty good. You could roll through this. But anyway, so I touched down and got stopped pretty much in all the small stuff here at the beginning. And so it's not smooth by any means. It's got some of its own little washes in it, but it gives me a pretty good area to get stopped and roll through. I touched down back here. You can see my tire actually, I was still going fast enough here that the tire skipped over this wash. So both tires skipped through this wash. So I touched down back here. I'll just walk back to this point. So I paced it off, and from here to where my wheels are is 36 paces. So I figure 3 feet for each pace. So that puts me a little over 100 feet from where I touched down to where I got stopped, with probably 4 miles on my nose. I was doing about 40 over the ground when I touched down, based on what I saw on my GPS for ground speed, which I think is pretty accurate. Okay, so now that I've been on this gravel bar, I probably could touch down a little bit sooner, but it probably would still launch me back in the air. I kind of touched down about really where I'd want to. So I was coming in, and you'll be able to see my tires where they touch. I probably could have touched maybe even in here. There's a little bit of a lip here, so it may have launched me a little bit. But anyway, so touch left main, right main. Tires were pretty much making contact with the ground. You can see me braking. I'm disturbing the ground here as I'm braking. And I saw this wash coming, so I kind of let off on the brakes a little bit going through this. Kind of bounced me. Well, basically, I'm probably not touching right here or here. Maybe kicked up a couple little rocks in here. Bounced through here. So I kind of missed this wash again. My tires weren't really touching on the brakes here. And then kicking over rocks here. And then finally came to a stop up here. And I got maybe a little bit further right than I wanted to, or further left than I wanted to. I probably should have stayed a little bit more to the right. Anyway, I don't know. For some reason, I was going left. I don't know if it was because I saw something that I thought that I didn't want to roll through. It might have been what I was looking at up ahead. Kind of hard once you get on the ground. But so then it transitions to, bigger rocks. more washes, and really pretty rough. I mean, you could do it, but you know, I just don't find any reason to abuse my airplane. You know, the gear, the fuselage, the shocks, all this is gonna take heavy hits. You know, these rocks here, you're coming up against them, and you know, they're big enough that unless you really let your 35s down low, you're gonna feel that shock inside the airplane. And so it gives you plenty of area to roll out if you had to. It's not like this thing's super short, and if you don't like it, you can just pour the power to it and go around. Feels like I have about 5 miles an hour of wind on my nose landing here. So here's the deal. Do I take off upriver or take off downriver? Well, I'll probably take off upriver into the wind, because I can taxi back through that smooth spot, turn around, and actually be at almost flying speed by the time I get to the big stuff here. If I take off downriver, I'd have to taxi up into this big stuff, and I'd prefer not to do that just because it's kind of hard to taxi around on it. Anyway, that's my take on this gravel bar.